Africa has the youngest population of any continent, and recent protests in Kenya, Nigeria, and Uganda suggest growing youth disillusionment. Will they be able to turn discontent into action? The youth-led protests that have broken out in several African countries over the past weeks should, say observers, serve as warnings that a disillusioned generation blame the elders of the ruling political classes for missed economic opportunities. From mid-June to early August, young people in Kenya hit the streets protesting against what they describe as run-away corruption and high taxes levied by President William Ruto's regime. In Uganda, what was shaping up as protests against the government in July were nipped in the bud by police after President Yoweri Museveni's warnings that those thinking of such protests were playing with fire. Nigeria saw short-lived protests against the poor handling of the economy by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. But beyond these protests, Africa's demographic bulge finds itself at a crossroads, distrustful of the ruling class, but seemingly unable to drive the change. Last week, more than 400 people, mostly in their early to mid-20s, converged at the UN's office in Nairobi for the Africa Youth Forum 2024 in order to stimulate an intergenerational dialogue that promotes the perspective of all age groups in a continent where older ones' viewpoints are rarely questioned. We are here to show our values, our challenges, and harmonize the potential within the young people in Africa, says Mohamed Abdullahim from the coastal Kenya country of Lamu. The continent has the youngest population in the world, with more than 400 million people aged between 18 to 35, and by 2030 it is estimated that 42% of all young people entering the workplace will be African. Abdullahim said the generational gap that exists between the youth and Africa's leadership denies young people a chance to show their abilities, energy, and their contribution to the continent's economy. Hence, the widespread protests in Kenya and elsewhere in Africa. We are saying our voices must count, that we must be part of the decision-making process. Look, we have the capacity, but we don't have a platform to showcase our ability, said Abdullahim, and that is the reason we went to the streets. So this is his own point of view. After the protests in Kenya, the government was forced to drop contentious finance bill that contained harsh taxation measures. Ruto also disbanded his cabinet, hoping the measures would appease the young protesters. The young protesters in Kenya styled themselves as leaderless and tribeless, which is good because tribalism has always been what the leaders in Africa use in destabilizing and jamming the youth's heads together. Kenya is ripe for revolution led by youth, read the title of her article, but they have failed to portray themselves as the solution, instead flocking around political heavyweights for financial expenditures and other short-term goals. So, truth be told, I just hope that with time, the youths can be able to turn their discontentment in Africa into action, because these so-called evil elders, because they are not even worthy to be called elders, are mortgaging the future of the upcoming generations. They are creating problems that it will take this generation at this moment and the generations to come after them many years to be able to solve some of these problems. They are borrowing money that will take these generations and generations after them ages to pay back, and this is not right. It is high time the youths in Africa unite themselves, have a collective platforms where they have a collective goal in terms of transforming their discontentment into action and getting the required result to reposition Africa, to reproject Africa on the side of prosperity, success, and for Africa to flourish. Because day by day, African youths that are supposed to remain in Africa and contribute to their country in their various capacities are leaving Africa in search of better lives, because the evil elders today are not providing the atmosphere, the platform for these youths to be able to contribute their own part to the projection of Africa as a continent and their various countries on the path of success. Africa, based on the human resources Africa is endowed with, Africa is supposed to be a world superpower. No country on a normal norm is supposed to be able to, especially when it comes to the West, leave China and Russia because they are equally endowed. No country in the West should be able to face Africa or contend with Africa because Africa is immensely blessed. It's just that the puppets we have in the corridors of powers don't have what it takes to be able to stand up for Africa, doesn't have what it takes to lead Africa on the path of the glory it's supposed to be. It's quite shameful. I just hope this generation will be able to turn their discontentment into action.